What is the latest on the Nets? What is going on in Brooklyn? Best you can tell me right now.
Rich, I just don't think they want to trade Durant right now. What they're asking for from these teams, it's not, the basis. If I knock on your door and say I'd like to buy your house, okay, I will sell it to you for $37 million. You don't really want to sell your house, right? I mean, I guess if I said, I haven't been to your house, maybe it's worth $37 million. Salute. But when you ask for something like that, you're not actually interested in selling. So these teams are kind of like, well, you're not interested in really negotiating, Brooklyn. So what are we doing here? Call us back when you're interested in negotiating. And so I think teams will stay in touch. And so what it really comes down to is Durant. Where is Durant when it comes to training camp? Would he consider not reporting? He is asked to be traded. He has not been traded. He has asked for the coach to be fired if they want to keep him. He has asked for the general manager to be fired if they want to keep him. They have not fired those guys, and it sounds like they're not going to fire those guys. So now do you just take those losses, just accept those no's and say, okay, well, I asked for something, they said no, I'll show up on the first day of school, I hope everybody's summer was good. Is that what he does? I mean, he could. Is there some negotiation that they can have between now and then, not between other teams and on a trade, but between Durant and the owner on something that could make Durant comfortable, get into a place where he could come back? I mean, maybe, yeah, I could see that. But, my question is, the Nets think they've got a good team, Rich. They think Ben Simmons is going to be healthy and is really going to help them. They think that they're going to have Joe Harris and Seth Curry. Those guys never played a second together. Those are two of the best three-point shooters in the league. They've got ideas about how they're going to play Ben Simmons maybe at center with four incredible shooters around him. They went out and traded for Royce O'Neal in the offseason, one of the better perimeter defenders in the league. They think their team's going to be good. They want to give it a chance. And that's the position that they're taking right now. They're not taking a position of wanting to rip this team apart. So we'll see how Durant, wants to dig in.
Yeah, I know. I mean, but that's on paper. You don't play the games on paper, right? You've got Durant saying, I want out, and if I'm staying in, I want the coach and general manager out. And who knows what he feels about Kyrie and vice versa, and him being there. And Ben Simmons, did he really leave a text chain when the players are like, hey, can you help keep our season alive? And then he exits the chat? Like, how? If that's the case, how in the world can you put it all back to? Leave that to Steve Nash when one of the best players on planet Earth in the history of this planet is saying, I want him out? How can you put Humpty Dumpty? The Humpty Dumpty is broken. Right?
I don't know. I don't know about any of that, but I know that Kyrie, Simmons, and Durant have not played together. I know that Curry and Joe Harris have not played together. If you're going to make the case that you think it could be very hard to stitch this together and make it work, I would agree with that. I think the Nets want to try. Whether or not Durant is willing to go along with that, we'll see. Because right now, I just don't think they're in the zone to trade him. And so I think we're – in the backdrop to all of this is if Durant doesn't – and I don't know what he's going to do. I want to be clear. I don't know where his head is at on this. But if he elects to not come to camp, that is going to be going on at the same time that the NBA collective bargaining agreement negotiations are going on. They're going on this fall. They have a deadline in December where either side can opt out of the CBA. Their goal is to negotiate a new one before that deadline. I believe it's in mid-December. So that could be an interesting little situation. Also, you're going to have, if Durant doesn't come, you're going to have Kyrie Irving and Ben Simmons having to sit there and answer questions about it. Ben Simmons sat out last year of training camp, and Kyrie Irving wasn't around last year either, and you're going to have a repeat of the Nets drama, in a different form. It's going to be fascinating, but if they can get them all on the court, I do think it's worth looking at. But I can't. It's very difficult for me to predict how it's going to go. I would just say right now, the more interesting negotiation that's happening is between Durant and the Nets, as opposed to the Nets and the other teams who have interest in trading for him.